Are you ready for the snow?
Oh, yeah. I've been waiting. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Welcome to the meeting. I'll call the meeting to order. It is 9:10 a.m. I would like your roll call, please.
District 1.
Here.
District 2.
Here.
District 3.
Here.
And I'm here, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we have a quorum. Miigwech. I'd like to thank our guests for showing up today. Well, you guys are on the schedule right away, so we'll just go through these formalities and we'll get you guys some talking time. So, miigwech. Okay. All right, next up is the review and the approval of the agenda. Anybody have anything to add to that?
Mr. Chairman, I know I was talking with Executive Director York a few minutes ago. There are two things we're going to add. Lori, did you want to add those just on signature requests, or did you want to? Okay.
Signature request, please.
So we'll just add two signature requests that aren't there. Well, possibly three. The one from Mike Bowman on those 3 roads for Rice Lake.
Okay.
And CARES Act money on that. And then the second is White Earth Enterprises and use their CARES Act budget.
Okay.
And I just got the legal reviews on those late yesterday, yesterday I should say. And I thought the process we're going through was that they would come on the next meeting, but because they're both time sensitive, we want to get them done today. So,
okay.
And then Barb sent a letter out yesterday on our response to Secretary Mnuchin, and I think that we should probably get that done today too, because they're still talking about doing a coronavirus relief bill. That's slim chance it'll get done, but we should just get our response on record before they come up with any final. So I'll have Laura Lee bring those down for signature request.
Okay, cool. Anything else, guys?
I'd just like to add, Mr. Chair, if we could, about the CARES Act money, I got an elder who's got a infestation problem.
I think we took care of this one.
Yeah, well, I was taking care of it, but I got another one that's a hot water heater. It's a gas. And she found somebody that would put it in for her if we can try to get it to her, but I don't know. She's supposed to find out today. It's Lou Marie's mother.
Okay.
And I did ask, you should have checked on it, but I guess we can't use the CARES Act for that.
Al, is it possible to bring back that 50,000 we were going to give everyone 10 grand to distribute to elders or in need in each of our districts, and then me and Al take care of the off-res people.
Yes,
we could do something like that.
I was gonna ask for that anyways, to help with heat and lights, and you know, the snow, and then I'm getting a lot of calls on that already, so.
Okay. Should we add that today? You wanna?
Well, we just need that. I thought we had a resolution for that.
I think so, let me look.
Okay.
Yeah, I think maybe
we could pass it today and bring it up.
I think it was the elders resolution. Because it was coming from the elders fund over at the casino, I believe.
Yeah, we could take 50 grand out of there, so.
Okay, but what about the others that aren't elders? Because that's.
But that'll just be at your discretion, each district council member and me.
Yeah, I mean, those are sovereign dollars. So
yeah, those are just dollars we could.
We just have to specify what they can be used for in resolution.
What it would be used for?
To help anyone in your district, I guess, for refrigerators or pest control or leaky roofs, or something. I mean, I guess a multiple of anything that you deem that the programs can help or fix. So,
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
What about District 2?
Well,
We got a call. Well, let's see. I got 6 things here from the community council. They dropped it off last night.
Kat, do you wanna email those to us so we can get them on the next meeting agenda, or otherwise have them on the monthly meeting?
What's that?
All right.
Well, the community council had a list of things for them to.
Oh yeah, we do those monthly, don't we?
Yeah, so. Does that work good for you, Kath, or do you want to address them today?
All right, and then give it to each of the council members.
Yeah, then we can, or send it to Lori, then she'll distribute it to us.
All right.
And then we could find some funds somewhere too, or otherwise, I know, Leaf Lake was asking for some CARES Act 22, weren't they, Annie?
Yep, they're gonna be dropping something up, so.
Okay, so I know that each community council was requesting, remember at one time we were gonna allot them some CARES Act money to run their own community councils. So I'm not sure if we wanna revisit that today or.
When is our next meeting?
And Mr. Chair, I wanna talk about the interim positions, if we could talk about.
We could do that in the executive, so. When's our next meeting? Won't be till the 30th, huh?
Yeah,
Won't be
the
the-
regular. meeting.
Yeah, our regular meeting on the 30th, Kat.
the 30th.
Regular meeting on the 30th?
Yeah.
Okay, the 6th will be on there then.
Yes.
All right.
All right, thank you, Kathy. All right, motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Motion by Ray, second by Kathy. All in favor? Motion carries. Next up, I'll review the meeting minutes from 10/1 of 20 and 10/8 of 20.
Mr. Chair, for 10/1 and 10/8,
Yeah.
for I'm recommending approval with transcript of 10/1 and 10/8 for the discussion on the first part. Just a transcript, that's all.
Okay. You said, Ray? All right, motion to approve the agenda, guys. Or the meeting minutes. Geez. Kathy, did you get a copy of the meeting minutes?
Yep.
Thank you.
Motion, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Ray, second.
I mean.
Second.
Oh, you
Yeah,
motion?
motion.
Okay, motion by Alan, second by Ray, all in favor? Motion carries.
It was just the transcript on those.
And next up is calendar review. I know the governor wanted to, do the governor's summit on the 16th in the afternoon, so I'll be on that call.
On the 16th, what'd you say?
Yeah, the governor's summit, that's with all the tribal leaders. So if any of the council members would like to join in on that, that's on the 16th in the afternoon. I know last year we had it right in the Capitol, so
Was that November?
it'll be WebEx. So,
That's November?
yeah, 16th November and after 1 to 5, I think it is. So I think I'll get like 15 minutes to talk about where's progress and what we need help in. So
And Mayak is the week before that.
I think Mayak is on the 12th and 13th, or is it the 9th and 10th?
9th and 10th,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's on my back? Never mind.
That's in Grand Portage.
9th and 10th?
Yeah. Monday, Tuesday.
Who else going?
Well, I guess if any council wants to join me, come on up.
You don't want to- Is that in November?
Yeah, yeah, Mayak, yeah.
And then
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
there's a request for the tribal consultation for discuss the food distribution program Wednesday, October 28th from 2 to 4.
Okay.
28th.
Snap. What time is it at, Lauren?
2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time.
May.
So it'd be 3 to 5.
3 to 5 here.
Is that in October or November?
October 28th.
October 20th?
We have the Department of Revenue. There's a thank you letter and then a tribal consultation follow-up.
With the new commissioner, huh?
Yep, with Cynthia.
Commissioner Coleman?
I'm not sure.
I don't think it doesn't have a date on here.
Robert Doty would still be the tribal liaison.
Yeah,
Yep, just, it says to contact Robert Godey.
okay.
I also think in that email they attached also what they call the Wayfair Amendment to the tax agreement.
Yeah.
Which would allow vendors to receive a portion of sales tax from online sales.
Thank you. I got a call from Maddie yesterday too about, I know we got like around 18 to 20 more commissioners to consult with. And I know I told Maddie to email, I think us 3, I think it is. So
Okay.
to get that consultation done, if we're gonna meet with them. Probably on WebEx.
Yeah.
If we meet, then but I will distribute to all council if you want to get on that call with the commissioners. So I know we did like 6 of them so far. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a request from our tribal college. This was a previous request also from the University of Minnesota Kirkton campus.
Yeah.
They wanted to meet multiple times.
I think I sent Lenny an email on that. Remember a response?
What are we supposed to do with that? Are we supposed to?
What's the meeting specifically about? Who is it with? Extension or is it? with
No,
another
it's
program?
actual.
About murals or something.
They got some native murals this week or something?
Oh,
I sent you something.
Okay.
You and Dave. I sent
well, then
that.
we should probably,
They said they want to consult with the tribe.
okay.
And these big pictures. It's a big pictures?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's artwork
Yeah.
that they're specifically talking about, like depictions of like,
Yeah.
probably not positive depictions.
Exaggerated stuff,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah, okay.
And then multiple meetings, there's no date set up. And this has been brought up a couple times, so probably just need to secure some dates.
Okay.
Well, if you want to, can you resend me that email? And I can reach out to them and try.
Well, I sent it to you, didn't I?
I think I have it too, yeah.
I sent. All right, anything else on the calendar, guys? All right, next up, we got Judge Ann Onstead and Judge Chuck Elderson, Minnesota 9th Judicial District, Clearwater, Monoman. Please have a seat. Welcome to our table.
Thank you. So I actually put the agenda request in to ask the judges to come over here and meet with the council. I know I've been talking with them. Both are chambered in Cass County, but they're running in the whole 9th Judicial District, which includes Monoman and Clearwater County, both Shannon as well. But just to give them a chance to introduce themselves to the council and just have a little discussion.
Okay, my name is Janet Halstead. I'm originally from Bemidji, Minnesota. That's where I went to high school, graduated from there. Left to go to school, into law school, and I came back to practice in my hometown in Bemidji. So I was in private practice there at Keith Fuller Bear for about 7 years. I transitioned into criminal defense work with the public defender's office, where I managed the regional office in Brainerd, and that covered Aiken County and Crow Wing County, and then part of Cass County for a period of time. I did leave that practice when I had a child, so I stayed home as a mom for about 7 years. I had 3 kids. I enjoy the practice of law. It's been a wonderful thing, but there's no question that the best part of my life has been being a parent, and still continues to be that. I have been on the bench for 7 years, so I was appointed by Governor Dayton to the Cass County spot that Judge John Smith had before he went to the Court of Appeals, and so I've been there for 7 years. In that role, I have also spent 7 years as a co-judge with Megan Troyer on the Cass County Leech Lake Vanderbilt Ojibwe Wellness Court. That is a DWI court. I think you have a similar one now, either drug or DWI court here in Monoman County. And I thought that had moved in the direction of a joint jurisdiction court. I have the benefit of being from Bemidji, and Judge Troyer is from Bemidji as well, so she happened to have been very good friends with my little brother, and so we had a very good and trusting relationship right from the start. So that was a really productive, that has been a productive relationship, and I'm going to come back to that in a little bit because I think it relates to the fact that why we have an election. In addition to working as a co-judge on the Joint Jurisdiction Court, I'm a board member for Vinland National Center. That is a chemical dependency addiction treatment place where they deal a lot with traumatic brain injury folks where recovery is significant. I have done that since 2014. Again, rewarding, important, I think, in the work that I do. I am currently a liaison judge for Northwest Juvenile Training Center. Again, these are areas where we're dealing with some of the most complex cases there with the juveniles. JDAI is another program that is starting, and that is really specifically geared towards keeping children out of facilities just because we don't have alternatives. So if somebody can't go home, it may not be appropriate for them to be at a place like the training center, but we don't have alternatives, and it's exploring building different relationships with people in the community where children can have another place to go. I do want to say that I sit here now, I confidently have the support of Judge Day and Judge Troyer, who are the 2 main judges in Cass County, as does Judge Hulverson. It may seem stiff, and it's not actually. Judge Hulverson and I have a very good relationship, but we have very strict rules on the Board of Judicial Standards that we cannot take a position in another contested race at all. So if you see that, or you don't necessarily hear from other judges that are district court judges, is because they cannot take a position on that. So I wanted to get back to essentially how I met Lenny Pine Day, and that is the Leech Lake Cass County Joint Jurisdiction Court was the first one in the nation that did it as a joint jurisdiction court. And that ended up being a pretty decent bridge for Cass County to build a better relationship with Leech Lake. And one of the things that those 2 governments do annually is to meet all together. So the county board meets with the tribal council, the tribal judges and the district court judges, the tribal highway department and the Cass County Highway Department, the chief of police from Leech Lake Tribal Police, and our sheriff. We have a meeting with all of the government heads from both of those to talk about things that we've done effectively together over the past year and to set some goals for the future year. And so it has been not only good in terms of dealing with DWI recidivism, but I think it did start some real improvements to relationships. And during a significant and important period of time, Lenny Pine Day then was the government relations person that met with Cass County administrator. And as there were some issues that developed around our wellness court, I got to meet Lenny, which has been a nice thing for me in terms of dealing with some challenges. One of the things that I want folks to know is that there are 5 contested judicial races in the state of Minnesota. 2 of them are in Cass County.
And judges all across the state are on the ballot. Yeah.
And Cass County is a 2-judge county. sometime, about 5 years ago, the county attorney in Cass County, well, at that time, the assistant county attorney, just decided he did not support the wellness court. And that became a struggle over a period of time. There were efforts, including almost immediately after he was elected county attorney, to file dismissals on 7 DWI convictions, so including a felony. So it was just like getting drunk drivers on the road as a way of choking off the program itself. It's been a problem, and I frankly think that that one of the things that is part of improving or developing some structure around it is that when somebody is terminated from a wellness court, it goes to a different judge. So in Cass County, it would always go to the other judge to determine then whether or not the person had failed on probation and their sentence would be executed. I ultimately think Judge Halverson may have a race at this time because he was following the law. And so that's really been a challenge. And I do think it's appropriate for people to be aware of that backdrop. Cass County overall, their county board and the probation department that helps with supervision in the program, Judge Halverson, and I think our partners, the chemical use assessment folks, the treatment folks, there's been a deep commitment to continue with the program regardless. So we struggle, but we certainly haven't failed, and we're looking to continue that work as we go forward. We have made a lot of changes, and I'm hopeful that will continue. And like with anything, we have ups and downs in relationships, and there's shifting of people that are interested and not interested. The commitment needs to be permanent and long-term. It has been through its 10-year anniversary, a few years ago. So I think we're coming up on 15 years of the program, and I think it is absolutely worth the extra work to keep it going.
Well, my turn. We decided to do beauty before age, so I have a second. I'm Chuck Halverson. I was appointed in 2018. I think the announcement came on Christmas Eve of 2018, so one of the better Christmas presents I've ever received. My mother is a Clearwater County resident. My father's from North Dakota, so I have spent a significant amount of time in the western part of the state as a kid. I graduated from high school in Alexandria, went to the University of North Dakota, then at law school in Hamlin, and then I became a judicial law clerk in Brainerd. And then I left there to private practice in Brainerd. And then I became the first manager of the State Public Defender's Office in Brainerd. And then I was replaced by this fine lady right here. And then she had to supervise me, so we do have history together and a history of working together. Then I opened up my own practice. I did that for 17 years. I did a lot of high-profile criminal cases throughout the state. I was one of less than 60 certified criminal law specialists. And I probably did more work in the 7th Judicial District than I did in the 9th, other than probably Cass, Growing, and Aiken. I have good relationships with the judges here in Becker. I've known them all for years, Clay as well. So I know a lot of people throughout the state. I met Mr. Fine Day because he was on the Judicial Selection Committee and was sitting in the middle of this horseshoe that was all set up to grill me. And I made it through that process, then to the governor and the appointment. I was never involved in politics ever in my life. I felt that politics got in the way of me being able to help people. And so I was never really actively involved. I was actively involved in treatment courts. I was very involved in the beginning in Crowing, as I had clients throughout the state. I've had involvement in working in a number of the treatment courts in the 7th as well as the 9th Judicial District. it became clear to me that that was an amazingly effective tool to help people help themselves. And that's the key component of it from my perspective, is it was real easy to end up in criminal court, end up on probation, get a chemical use assessment, get sent off to some 28-day or slightly longer treatment program. And then it's like being thrown out of an airplane without a parachute. You're left on your own. And then people go back to environments where there may be enabling the people that are part of their family structure, not necessarily community support, and they're left to their own to figure it out. And then we wonder why people weren't always successful. The beauty of the treatment courts is it's a bridge. It's identified as intensive supervision, but it's really in a lot of ways more about a support network. And because making changes is about changing your thinking and changing your viewpoint on life, your circumstances, and education takes longer than 30 days to take effect, they're 18 to 24 months, which helps people get to where they need to go. And the other thing I think I've learned is it's real easy for people on the outside, not working with people with chemical dependency issues, to think that this hopelessness and despair come from usage. I think that usage comes from hopelessness and despair. And that paradigm needs to change, because until we can get that to change, we're not going to be able to help people. And most people on the outside want to judge it and not get that. But when you've worked with people who struggle and want to get sober and can't find a way to succeed, you see it. And in my race, I don't think my opponent sees it. I don't think he frankly cares. And it's an important part of what needs to be fought for. And I know Judge Austin feels that way. I can't campaign for it, but it's part of the underlying reason why her and I are in a race.
You know, and if I could just add in my own perspective here as an officer of the court, an attorney, and former member of the Judicial Selection Commission, one of the things about the democracy we live in is the judiciary is really the most fragile branch of government. It really is. And in Minnesota, I think there's been a really good job that has been done in keeping our judiciary nonpartisan. And as someone who's also practiced in Wisconsin, and I look at the Wisconsin judiciary, it's extremely partisan, all the way down from the district court level, all the way up to the Wisconsin Supreme Court. You have major parties endorsing judicial candidates in elections, and that results in a very partisan judiciary. And that doesn't serve the public in the way that a nonpartisan judiciary does. And Minnesota has done a really good job, I think, in creating a structure where there's accountability for the judiciary in the fact that, judges are on the ballot every 6 years? Every 6 years. And so if there's a really bad judge, voters have the chance to recall that judge in election and say, okay, you shouldn't be on the bench anymore. But overall, through the judicial selection process, which is a nonpartisan process, whether you have a Republican or a DFL governor, the Judicial Selection Commission is nonpartisan, and there's a rigorous process you go through that's focused on qualifications and ability to sit on the bench and judge cases in an unbiased manner. And both Judge Osted and Judge Helverson have gone through that process and have been found to be qualified and have been found to be people who can sit in a position of authority and make unbiased decisions. And part of the reason we have such a strong judiciary is you can look across the state, from the Supreme Court all the way down to all the district court races, there's 5 contested races. But there's this sort of, I would classify, vocal minority of people who sort of want to see a partisan judiciary. And, you know, I think one of the themes that has come out in one of the races here in the ninth has been, you know, make our courts great again. And you can see how that ties into some broader political themes on the national level. And it's important for us to protect the nonpartisan qualification-based process that we have here in Minnesota. And that's one of the reasons why I personally am such strong supporters of Judge Rosted and Judge Helgerson, because they've gone through that process. They're qualified, they're unbiased, they've got the background to do it. And I want to fight against this push to make our judiciary partisan or ideologically based. And that's what we have to protect our judiciary against. And that's why I really think it's important for us to get out the vote for people who are qualified and unbiased. And it's important because, you know, we got the presidential election, the Senate election, legislative elections, local, and so people have to flip over their ballot actually to get to the judicial elections usually, and sometimes that doesn't happen. And a lot of times people don't even know who the judges are that they're voting for, which, you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing either. But in situations like this where we have people who are trying to take the court in a direction it shouldn't go, we need to guard against that and be vigilant. So that's why I asked them to be here today, and I'm glad we're able to be here. So if there's any questions that the council members have, I'm sure they'll be happy to answer.
Who's that one guy that got his yellow signs all over the place?
That's Ben Lindstrom, and that's Judge Ossoff, or Judge Helgerson's opponent.
He's the one who filed the dismissals on DWI convictions
Oh, that's the
the
guy.
day after he was elected county attorney.
Where's the attorney now?
Cass County attorney. Yeah.
Okay, well, cool. I mean, if any other questions by the council, you know, and when, you know, listening to all the information and talking about our recovery and our healing, you know, that's how I look at the healing courts, you know, and I look at our juvenile wellness courts and also our DWI courts, or even our drug courts, you know, and those are things that all of us at the table here, the council, is that we're really kind of in favor of that, and you know, because it affects our people. You know, one thing that we have on Whitehurst is we have our Moms and Mass program, our Suboxone programs that deals with these addictions and combating them and putting our people into better positions or a better place of mind. Is like, you know, the word that we use is, we don't be blind as you win, is the red road, you know, and this is something that we're all in favor of, you know, when it comes to our healing of our people. So it's important that, you know, that we as tribal council that we support all people that want to help, that help humanity, basically, you know, coming down is to make sure that we care and we love our fellow citizens that are like ourselves here. We want our people to be clear-minded, so be good.
And I think that is one of the things we're dealing with I was hearing when you talk about unbiased is this idea that I do want to acknowledge the disparate impacts that our criminal justice system has on the Native American population. Those numbers are clear. Frankly, they look like Mississippi. And it isn't because there are people that are sitting on the bench, in my opinion, right now, that's any kind of a desire. It is part of the institution. It is part of the evolution of law that's occurred over time. And so one of the benefits of having something like specialty court is to free you up from some of those principles that have had a really negative impact, and to say, how can we creatively interact with an individual that respects who that individual is, to provide a place that is safe for them to develop. And so when you have a joint jurisdiction court, it's not you have to go to AA, it is here is a referral to a member of your community that does sweats on a night that works for you, and that you get people connected in a different way, and you're not stuck on the rules of criminal procedure or the statute or the mandatory minimums for punishment that are there. So one of the real dynamics that I see in this election is this concept of I'm conservative and law and order, which is very appealing in a very red district, and the 9th Judicial District is. And to try to take that to say, I have an obligation to apply the rule of law, but also in applying the rule of law, I also have to acknowledge that in a system where people have sincerely kept that oath, it has had a disproportionate impact on the Native American population, and that is really obvious in the data. And so how do we continue programs like wellness sports that provide an alternative and that can have some support from the judicial branch, and when I say support, resources that are put into it, and hopefully community support. And so these are the kinds of programs, because people understand at a certain level that being kind, being accepting, it has way more to do with somebody actually changing the punishment. We know over and over and over again, we have the highest punishment rates really in Western civilization, and we still have the highest crime rates. We know that does not resolve behavior. It does have to be through relationship building and support.
Rich.
Well, I like the idea of what you were talking about there about our Native people, because a lot of our Native people struggle when they come out of prison, when they come out of treatments, and they gotta come back into the same environment. I got a young man right now who is struggling with that, and he's asking for help, but how do we help? You know, we don't have the resources, and, you know, so I like the idea that what you're talking about is to find an environment for them to help themselves along without getting back into where they, you know, because they come back and it's the same old, you know, without the help, they just fall back into that same rut and get back where they're at.
So one of the things that we have been doing in Cass County is under a grant, we have started a pretrial release analysis. So to use criteria, the idea being that we want non-race-based criteria set for setting bail, if there's going to be bail. And to, again, you can have institutionalized. You could say something like period of time of unemployment is a non-race-based criteria, but it may actually end up being race-based. And so it's not an appropriate criteria to be using. So we're doing that to study. We know for sure that some of the questions now, we're the only county that is breaking that out, not to see if it's predictive, but to see if it's predictive the same for white folks as it is for Native folks. So that we know which questions have some racial impact, even if that's not the intent, or that it isn't facially, if it has that racial impact, we want to be able to identify that. The other thing that is coming that we are doing with that grant money is that when people are in pre-trial release, so before they're entering into plea agreements or looking at whether they go to trial or not, they're getting connected with resources. So they have a person that texts them about getting to court, finding out if they have rights, finding out if they have the technology to be able to appear for court through a Zoom meeting, so that they don't have to depend on somebody else for those kinds of things. And then getting them a chemical use assessment, getting them into treatment, because a lot of times those active things on a pretrial basis are what allow you to have a resolution to a criminal charge that's much more positive and doesn't have as negative effect on their lifetime permanently, and to be able to succeed. The other thing I wanted to say when I talked to Lenny about this is that between working on what I think is this pushback in some ways to our relationship with Leech Lake, it also became very clear to me after the George Floyd incident that I can't hope to change the system that we work in by working within the judicial branch, which is what we tend to do. We work in our own profession, our own area. If I want to know how things have to be done differently in Cass County, I have to talk to the people that are appearing there. And in our case, that'll be Leech Lake mostly, because that's the largest percentage. But we have to go there and hear what are the ideas that we can do differently that we are not doing now. Because if you just ask other judges, you tend to get judge responses. So intention, it's very clear to me, good intentions haven't resulted in change. And so it really is then how you got to do it differently, and where are you going to get those ideas? And it's going to have to be from having conversations with different people.
And one of the ways we were doing that, in some ways, bringing the court to the people up until the pandemic, is we split our juvenile caseload north-south in Cass, so I have north. So on juvenile delinquents tickets in court, one day a month I do it at the travel center in Cass Lake. So there were people that getting rides to court was difficult. Covering for childcare to get somebody to court was difficult. all of those things were impacting people's ability to participate in the process. And when we brought it to travel court, our attendance rates went from 60% to 97%. And family members would come with kids coming to court, as opposed to just one person transporting or getting them there. And so there was more of a community response to how we were doing justice. And the pandemic blew that all up. But it was a joy to watch, and it was fun to go to the tribal court center. I enjoyed it. And if there was ways that we could build more of that within the system, we were unique. We had to, because of how things are recorded and how the requirements of the district court, we had to jump through hoops to make sure that we had made that happen. But we made it happen and it worked. And it would be a wonderful thing to see expand.
Good. That's good. No, and one thing you bring up too is like, we were talking to Commissioner Paul Schnell, and he talked about how the program with Whiter dealing with probation, kind of very similar. You know, our people can't get to the Detroit Lakes or to Monoman with the same barriers you talked about, and I think that's one of the things that we're looking at as Whiter's having our own probation officer at our RBC here, so we can somehow get our people to return to very similar, which is good.
Yeah, and
I'm
our
really excited.
probation agents do go to the tribal center in Cass Lake so that people can walk there.
Okay, well, I'd like to, follow up. I know we got some other people waiting.
Okay, sure.
No, but I would like to thank you personally, Miigwech. I know the council here is, we're honored to hear you, and, it's important that we get good people in our courts and to represent all of us, of citizens of Minnesota, not only the tribal people within the counties, but, to understand it, just to understand our ways, and that's really good to hear some of your, you talking about healing, about, certain ways of how we deal with healing, and it's important, and I want to say to you, Miigwech, and thank you.
It's an honor to be here.
Yeah. I think Dan and I might way too early.
Yeah.
No, he's here. We went down to Detroit Lake last night. Is Adam out there?
I'll go get him.
Yeah, bring him in. Ray, are you going up tomorrow? Annie, are you heading up too tomorrow?
No.
Or are you gonna get on Zoom?
Yeah.
Okay. No, Kathy's not going either, so me and Ray will be passing each other.
Sliding down the road,
So the 2 days that we're traveling to, there's no snow, but there's snow on each side of them. So. They talk about a major storm in the cities today.
Hopefully it's gone by Saturday.
Yeah, because I looked at the 10-day forecast, it's gonna be in the 20s for a while. I was like, whoa. I was like, when are we gonna get like the 30s and 40s or even the 50s again, Like we're gonna have one of those runs again before it gets too early.
There's been quite a few complaining about Stewie Pizza, the delivery of the homeless. That's a major place, and I wanted to see if we could switch up to being much to the others.
Okay. Talk to Lori and get Michael on that. Michael can get us a new vendor over there.
I just thought of that. Two ladies called me last night, and they said, oh, they got like breadsticks and sauce last night. And they said that one day that they sent sub sandwiches, and it was actually boiled on sandwiches. But I don't like that place. I was there once, and we made it $3.
Yeah, talk to Lori or Michael and McGinn, vendor. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, next up on the agenda is indoor village pilot program implementation. So I guess your team, Adam, has the floor right now.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Adam Fairbanks. I'm a consultant working on the Indoor Villages project. We're here mostly today to just provide everyone with an update on the project. We're not here asking for anything specifically from White Earth today. So I'm going to introduce the folks from Avivo, their leadership team, who can tell you a little bit more about their agency. But we have had a lot of progress since we last met. We have secured $2 million from the state. We also have secured another $2 million was approved from the city. That was just on the 16th. And then today.
From where?
Oh, Kathy. Hi, Kathy. We got Adam and the Indoor Village is here doing a presentation and an update on the Minneapolis Tiny Village project. So he's talking about where they secured funding for this project. So sorry about that.
And then today the county board is reviewing a $2.2 million recommendation from their city or from the county staff. And that will go towards capital. So we've made a lot of progress. There's still a gap, around $2.5 million gap, but we are well funded through 2021. And Avivo, just the folks from Avivo, they'll introduce themselves, but they will be the operator of the shelter space. And then we just want to have a brief discussion with the council around service implementation and White Earth's involvement throughout the pilot program phase.
Good morning. Thanks so much for inviting us here. My name is Kelly Matter. I'm the president and CEO of Avivo.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Emily Bastian. I am the Vice President of Ending Homelessness at Avivo.
Hello, I'm Carrie Johnson. I oversee all of our housing projects at Avivo.
Thanks for coming, ladies.
So since this is the first time that you guys are meeting, if one of you would mind just talking about Avivo and the agency and what you guys do, if that would be helpful.
Yeah, I can talk broadly about Avivo. Avivo, we're a 60-year-old organization. We're based all over the Twin Cities Metro, but have a significant presence in the St. Cloud community as well. Our organization exists. Our mission is to enhance well-being through recovery and career advancement while working to end homelessness, and we provide services in those areas. So we do integrated substance use and mental health treatment. We have a residential treatment program for pregnant and parenting moms, and an intensive outpatient treatment program. We have a licensed school where we partner with employers, and we design curriculum for jobs that are available in today's economy, as well as employment programs. And then we have a division that works really hard to serve people in our communities that are unsheltered, connecting them to permanent housing, and then any or all of the other services that we provide as well. We serve about 15,000 people each year, very, very diverse population of individuals. We have about 3,000 people go to work, and we're supporting over 1,000 people that we've connected to permanent housing and helping people keep their housing.
Adam, do you want to talk like a recap? I know that we had you before, and I think a lot of our membership might want to understand the indoor village pilot program. What it encompasses. I know it's going to be like a warehouse type thing with 100 tiny homes in this area down in North Minneapolis.
Yep. Yeah.
Go ahead, you can talk about it and just let people know that Avivo's gonna be partnering with you on getting this going, this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so Indoor Villages started off as kind of a vision of a group of people, community folks and activists and folks who work in this field. And we kind of came up with a concept, and this was prior to Avivo's involvement, but we came up with a vision for the project, a budget, a plan, essentially a business plan. And that was a lot of the work that I did. And then we, went to city, county, state government to ask them to support it. But essentially the model is having these tiny shelters. So they're like a tiny home. They're prefabbed. They're easy to clean and wipe down. They can be constructed in about 25 minutes or so. And the manufacturer is Pallet. They're out of the West Coast. And they basically we're going to order 100 of them. We have secured a site. It's 36,000 square feet of warehouse, as well as about another 18,000, I believe, of office space. So we're going to have kind of a shelter space, which will be within the warehouse. And then the office space will have room for services. The project, we've requested funding, or we're seeking funding for 2 full years to consider this a pilot project. And people will be identified and referred through outreach programs and existing outreach workers to come and to stay in the Indoor Villages setting. The original plan, and I believe this is still the case, is a 30-day kind of stay that people will have. And if they are actively engaged with meeting with caseworkers and different service providers, then that can be renewed an additional 30 days until that person secures permanent housing. So people who are admitted won't be, kicked out for lack of engagement, but the space, will be for folks who are actively engaged in seeking permanent housing. So there's an incentive for engagement. And then as far as services go, I mean, that's really kind of where we're at. Is we're in this new phase where we're figuring out, we're shifting from a vision to now operations and implementation. And we now have a new operator, our planned operator, Avivo. They're very much, meeting with construction folks, getting staff hired. I can have Emily and Carrie talk a little bit more about kind of where they're at in the planning process. But we do want to, each individual will get their own tiny shelter space. There will be 5 staff on site, kind of just managing the shelter components of it. And then there will be caseworkers working on trying to get people into permanent housing. So it's really like a transition center where people can come in, similar to the navigation center that existed in Minneapolis in 2017 through 2018. And yeah, it's a very unique model, and we have the support from all aspects of government, and including the tribe support through your approval that you did on the letter of intent to partner. And so now it's like really where the rubber meets the road. We need to figure out and get this thing going, because we have to open the deadline on the CARES funding that's coming through the county. We have to spend that money by the end of the year. And so we're on a very tight timeline in order to get people moved in. So I don't know if we can talk about kind of where we're at in the planning phase, or kind of where we're at with operations right now.
Yeah, I can talk about it. So we are working feverishly, to try to secure a lease for the space. So we are working with the owner of the space to come to terms on a lease, and we're hoping that occurs in the next couple of days. And then there's an architect that is working on a house of rows of tiny homes, but to create more of a community feel to those, and you'll still fit 100. So that work is almost done as well. And then there's a construction firm that's ready to start kind of making some renovations to the warehouse, and that's mostly in adding showers and bathrooms and community gathering space. The Pallet Shelter Company will put together the tiny homes. So and then we're also So there's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of puzzle pieces. The other piece is around zoning for this, what was a warehouse to now, be home to 100 individuals. So it's a long process. We're working with the city on a short-term approval for an SRO approval because of the mayor's state of emergency around the COVID pandemic and resulting homelessness. So those are moving pieces, but we are optimistic that we are going to move them all and get people in.
Because I think, talking to Mayor Fry and talking to some of the leadership down in the urban areas, like, I know one of the combatants was the hotel model wasn't going to be a permanent fix. I know when they looked at the tiny villages across the northern part of the United States, I know Milwaukee and I think other bigger cities are using this type of model to combat or to, lower the people that are unsheltered out in the city. So I know that last year, remember at a time period that we were asked to use our mansions as drop-in centers, which I still think we're still going through with the city on that of making that happen. But I think that we're doing and you guys are doing a great job too of kind of fixing this. And I think the tiny homes project is probably more of a good permanent fix, and that's a model that I think that us as a council are going to have to look at this model up here too, of working with something. Maybe not the enclosed warehouse part, but getting smaller tiny homes across the, the area where we can accommodate and help our people with homelessness. So I know right now we're using the Bagley motel as our kind of our temporary shelter right now. So but me which.
So I think oh, sorry, go ahead, Ray.
So is this only involve Native Americans or is it open to everyone?
Thanks for bringing that up. So one of the needs for the project is to secure housing support or a GRH agreement. And counties or tribes can provide those to agencies or to your own programs if you chose to do so. So we will at some point here, and the part of the kind of answer I need from the council today is who are we going to work with from within the tribe? But we will need one of those agreements from a county or a tribe. So we hope that we can ask the council for one of those agreements. And then within that agreement, you can specify eligibility criteria and priority. So if you want to say, yes, indoor villages, here's your GRH agreement. We would like you to focus on Boyer band members first, other IHS eligible individuals, and then everybody else. That would be totally within your authority to do that. So I think there is a way for us to prioritize who you want.
Yeah, the only reason I asked that is because our Wayne Urban Community Council was asking about that. We had a meeting on here, I think it was 2 weeks ago. They were asking about the tiny villages. It was still up and going, and from what we understood, it hadn't passed.
Yeah.
So this is good news to us. I mean, because we're meeting with our Wayne Urban Community Council on Saturday.
This
So we can fill them in on what's going on.
Nice to have you come by.
I can do that.
Maybe we can stop in at the meeting.
Yeah. They had asked me to come to the last one, but I hadn't. There was a lot of moving pieces with funding, so I thought it was a little premature. But this upcoming one, definitely, we have a lot of positive things to report.
Saturday
morning. It'd be nice because they're gonna have a lot of community members down there too, so they're gonna have that ID machine down there, so it'd be a good time. If you got maybe a hand some of the natives down there, that'd be a good chance for them to learn more about it, that this is coming, But, you had a GRH, Adam? You mentioned GRH?
Yep.
The tribe? What is the tribes? Can you kind of explain that to me?
Sure. Yep. So GRH is now called housing support. I kind of use them interchangeably because they're often referred to. It's an older program now. It's housing support, but counties, tribes can provide these agreements to housing providers, and then it opens up access to a funding source at the state housing subsidy. So the tribe itself wouldn't pay or provide any funding, but it does kind of open the door to allowing the Indoor Villages project to receive the housing subsidy for people who are staying there. Vivo has a few different housing support agreements currently, one through Red Lake Nation, another through county, and then another through a collective of counties as well. So we would.
You guys have done this with Red Lake, and this, so the only question I have for many, you just answered it, is, it sounds like the tribes are fully capable of doing this outside the confines of their reservation. They're just acting as a fiscal agent?
Yep. And they have statewide authority.
Yeah.
Yeah, where counties have the boundaries within their kind of, their designated authority, but tribes can go outside of that.
So if need be, then you guys could help us maybe appear on Tiny One?
Yeah.
You're helping out there. Going at it, come on, Mike.
Why not? Absolutely.
And what is your Vivo stand for?
Yeah.
So, Avivo is a made-up name. We rebranded 3 years ago from Resource, which is overused and people couldn't find us. So we sought, far and wide. I think we had 900, ideas of what our name could be, and we landed on Avivo. And so, Avi means to fly, in Spanish and Greek, I believe. So that kind of ties with our mission, we added the A in the front. In vivo means to live life fully in Greek as well. So, but it is a made-up name. With some meaning though, to live life fully and to fly is what the words we put together.
I think
Thank you for asking.
I was just gonna say, maybe Emily or somebody who's gonna be kind of more on the development kind of coordination side, if there's anything that you would want from the tribe as far as their involvement at this phase where we're at right now. Because if there's, staffing needs or anything that the tribal council needs to kind of think about, I'm assuming that we might want a tribal representative as part of the development. So.
Yeah, a tribal representative as part of the team would be wonderful. We are working on, as far as staffing, we're working on job descriptions right now for positions to be posted hopefully before the end of the month. And so we will pass job descriptions on to Adam, and maybe he can circulate those. We really want to make sure that we are getting those far and wide as well for individuals who might want to be involved staff-wise in shelter operations. And then as we talk about services, just kind of looking at how Avivo and the tribe would like to partner and what that partnership looks like, and what each individual's role should be in that. And so I think having a conversation, and we certainly don't have to do that here, but I would like to do that sometime in the relatively near future so that we can move forward in a way that feels very collaborative. And, we can make this project a reality in a way that is really supportive of the folks that need to get indoors.
And I think the vision or what was presented to the council the last time we were here is that this could become your project. We have 2 years of funding to transition this project over to the tribe, to make it a tribal facility, to bring in tribal, billing and cultural services into this space. So really, Avivo, their involvement, definitely getting it off the ground, definitely being doing the operations, assisting doing services, but it's not all figured out. Like, we don't have the details. And so what we need from the tribe is really just probably contacts within the divisions of who are to work with, and then getting meetings scheduled and just really starting to make it happen, because we're on a very tight timeline.
Chairman Fairbanks, if I may?
Yep.
So we have Mike Thompson. He's our Human Services Interim Director, and also our Interim Behavioral Health Director, Clinton Alexander, on the line. And those would be your connecting folks. For the urban office, we have Behavioral Health Interim Director, Clinton Alexander, that is working along with me to build that wraparound service in the urban community that would be able to incorporate the culturally specific services and that type of thing. So we'd like to build that structure there, and they would be set up in a way that they have their own urban folks servicing their own urban folks. And this would create jobs for our people. This would also create those wraparound services that we would want in our urban community with our urban members, which I believe is also the request of our urban council from down there. In addition to that, we have Mike Thompson with Human Services, and he would be the point of contact to help secure and set up that GRH component and agreement that you've been talking about in partnership with Department of Human Services and some other folks. So we would be able to hopefully answer those questions that you have in the near future.
Thank you. And then I think, so we'll work with you, Lori, and those staff then. And then the last thing is just talking about branding and communication. So this project's getting a lot of attention in the media right now. Avivo has done a ton of interviews, but the tribe, we haven't talked about the tribe's involvement at this point. And we want to kind of get some input from the council around what we can say. You know, if there's a designated PR person, if media want to talk to Whitehair Nation about the project and their involvement. So we just want to kind of get some guidance on that from folks.
Well, I heard it on the radio up in Bemidji on my way up there. It was just a little flirt that said, you know, they're getting it in Minneapolis, and I was like, oh, that must be. You know, it was neat to hear that, you know, out there, but it didn't explain a lot, you know, so, yeah.
We just want to be sure that we are okay to talk about it, you know, Whitehair put forward the letter of intent to partner, and so, and obviously these meetings are public, so it's not hard for folks to find, you know, that Whitehair is involved, but we want to be sensitive to how you guys want us to talk about it.
I kind of feel like it might be better to have some of the internal dialogue with Mike and with Clinton first. And then through Mike and Clinton, you know, when you're talking about public relations, you know, you can bring in, you know, the public relations staff here, you know, and they can help with that moving forward. But I think it'd probably be good just internally from a governmental standpoint to have that line of communication solidly in place first.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, and I would include the urban community council too in those discussions. That way they feel like.
And even
Well, something here, but-
descriptions, I think would be great to get to them.
Yeah.
Well, I'd be glad to sit in with Mike and Clinton to meet with you guys and, you know, just, so we got council support also.
I know that on some of the partnerships that some of the tribes and non-tribal partners in Minneapolis are doing is co-branding as well. So just something to, and we can talk internally about that, Lori. But, you know, there I think are co-branding opportunities.
Absolutely.
It'll definitely give us additional credibility with our community. And I think it made a big difference with the navigation center when Red Lake was down there, and it was Red Lake. It just changed the dynamic, and it really honestly provided credibility to Avivo, and people were more willing to engage in services with them because of that. So I think it's a really important piece of this.
Yeah, I think it's important that we get this going, and I know when we were down in the cities last year for, you know, meeting with the mayor's office, and, you know, I think working this out and coming to this conclusion finally with this tiny villages, I think it's just awesome. So I'm really glad of all the hard work that went through this whole project. So I think it's where I'm kind of a path of trying to combat it, you know, permanently. So I know that we're still going to deal with it, but right now at least we have a vision that we're moving forward into it. So I'm saying be good, Jim. Thank you for coming up, and we will work and we will connect and we will give you a good name. So.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think next up on the agenda is we're going to take a break, 10-minute break. So be good. Be right back.
Maria, will you call me?
Yes, Kathy, I will. Okay, you're welcome. Okay. Thank you, Clinton and Mike, for being on the call. Butch. Where's my little cursor?
Were they there?
Yeah, they were both on.
Oh, okay.